The mysterious organization plans to summon ancient giants to destroy the kingdom, crazy witches delude to infect the continent with a plague, the avenger brings the gates of hell back to life. Suan coated the arrows with poison, kill enemies thousands of miles away. After shattering various conspiracies and schemes, he left behind a legend in Sisya that belonged to a highly poisonous hunter. Keywords of the novel. Online game. God-level poison hunter, no pop-ups. Online game. God-level poison hunter TXT complete collection download, online game. God-level poison hunter latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Going back to the past, in the Ostrich game, don't attack me, everyone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Going back to the past, in playing Ostrich, don't attack me, don't dare to read comments. The border of the elf kingdom. Flags fluttered, and the body lay horizontally. Suan hid under a burning ancient tree, bandaged his wound with a bandage, and muttered something in his mouth. What a group of pig teammates. Guerrilla warfare has turned into positional warfare, and they insist on wasting your grandfather's advantage of shooting one arrow at a time. Playing like dog poop and not giving me command. As Suan was cursing, he felt someone moving in the distance. He immediately flipped over, threw down an ice trap, then bent down, activated a mimicry, integrated with the surrounding environment, and felt towards the distance. A group of heavily armored warriors rushed out of the forest on horseback, and the blond man led by them laughed heartily at Suan's position. Su, you can't run away today. Give me the starry bow and I won't kill you. Suan's mimicry level is very high, and after obtaining the artifact Starbow, he has never been detected by anyone. Therefore, when this European Union region commander, a blond man named Ethan, was deceiving himself, he still kept a slow pace away from this place. Unexpectedly, Ethan closed his helmet, waved his hand, and the heavily armored soldiers accurately charged towards Suan. Suan turned the moon witch flower on her left index finger and silently flashed to the side. Ethan sneered and forced his horse to charge towards Suan, who had changed direction again. Suan, who was in an invisible state, was knocked away and his slowly recovering health was interrupted. He looked at Ethan with some surprise and asked, "How did you break my mimicry?" Ethan looked at Suan in front of him, dressed in tattered equipment, and smiled. "I can't see through it, but someone is giving me coordinates. Even if you're powerful and under both internal and external attacks, you're not my opponent. Look at the equipment on your body. If it's damaged, there's nowhere to repair it. Why don't you join us? Anyway, this is just a game. Grass, these scumbags." Suan suddenly arched and shot an arrow at Ethan, shining brightly. The arrow immediately dismounted Ethan. At the same time, Suan also opened his social panel, exited all organizations, deleted all contacts, and reposed, wanting to struggle again. However, it was too late, and Ethan shouted for others to charge. The long-range troops hanging behind had also arrived, and under the cover of firepower, Suan had nowhere to escape and was killed in place. The star bow in his hand exploded, indicating that players in the first zone of fate no longer have divine weapons in their hands and cannot have their own main city, completely falling. Hiss. My head hurts so much. Suan propped his forehead in the palm and sat up from the bed. He opened his eyes and was about to curse when suddenly the door was opened. Lin Xinyao, wearing an apron and jeans, walked to the bed and sat down with a bowl of sobering ginger soup. She saw that Suan had already woken up and smiled. "I originally wanted to wake you up, but I didn't expect you to have already woken up. When you went to attend the graduation party, I had already entrusted you with it. You got drunk with just one bottle and drank so much. Do you know how hard it took my sister to bring you back from the hotel and carry you upstairs?" Lin Xinyao has a tall and curvaceous figure, with a mature voice, making her a sexy lady-type beauty. She pinched Suan's nose and saw him in a daze, then smiled and said, "Why are you staying longer today than before?" Hurry up and drink this bowl of ginger soup. Remember to have breakfast as well. I have some things to attend to and I'm going out soon. Wait a minute. Suan grabbed Lin Xinyao hand and said in a daze. Are you Sister Xinyao? I'm not dreaming, am I? In Suan's memory, after helping him repay the huge loan he owed for purchasing materials for the artifact mission, Lin Xinyao had already cut off contact with him. How could she still live in the same room with him and cook ginger soup for him to drink? He tightly grasped Lin Xinyao's hand, afraid that she would leave again. Then he looked around and found himself back in the clean and tidy room. His gaze fell on the electronic calendar on the white wall, which read, June 11, 2123. Back 10 years ago. The real touch conveyed in his hand made Suan sure that he was not dreaming. In 10 years, Suan went from a happy and ignorant youth to a troubled youth. There were too many things that he regretted during this period, and now the opportunity to change his life is right in front of him. Suan was trembling with excitement and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Lin Xinyao saw tears in Suan's eyes and laughed happily. She couldn't help but touch Suan's forehead and muttered with some concern. Are you still drunk? Your tolerance for alcohol is really poor. Suan wiped away her tears and smiled, saying, Miss Xinyao, I'm not drunk, everything is fine. If that's okay, let's drink this bowl of soup first. Suan nodded, picked up the bowl, and drank it in small sips. Lin Xinyao noticed that Suan didn't even let go of her hand while drinking soup, and said happily. Holding it so tightly, I'm not shy. I'm really worried about my sister running away. I was planning to talk to my friends about things, but since you really want my sister to be with you, I'll be with you today. When Lin Xinyao said this, Suan suddenly remembered that before and after his graduation, Lin Xinyao partnered with her best friend named Huang Shanshan to open a game studio. When the studio entered its development stage, Huang Shanshan ran away with the payment, causing Lin Xinyao to owe a lot of debt. It was also from that time on that Suan and Lin Xinyao lived a tight life. The houses they bought with loans could only be rented to others to generate income, and they had to find cheaper houses to live in themselves at first. Suan didn't know the specific situation. It was Lin Xinyao's fault for being a spendthrift, and their relationship became increasingly distant. However, Lin Xinyao still doted on her until he owed him too much money. Lin Xinyao advised him several times, but did not change it, and finally completely cut off contact with him. When Suan turned around and found out the truth, he had already done something very wrong to Lin Xinyao. It was an unforgivable mistake, and he didn't have the courage to beg Lin Xinyao to forgive him anymore. But now, he has an opportunity not to let the tragedy repeat itself. After some thought, he put down his bowl and asked Lin Xinyao. Miss Xinyao, are you planning to start a studio with someone else? Lin Xinyao's apricot eyes showed a hint of surprise. Suan had never cared about family matters before. She said. How do you know? I have this plan. I have a best friend who opened a studio and earned 200,000 to 300,000 yuan in the previous virtual online game. She entered the game in the late stages of the game. Now, isn't the new virtual game, Destiny, about to be launched? She wants to expand the scale of the studio, and I plan to invest a little, get some dividends, and pay off the mortgage. At first, Lin Xinyao only wanted to invest a little money, but Huang Shanshan was eloquent and tricked Lin Xinyao into investing all of her family's 200,000 yuan in it. Suan said very seriously to Lin Xinyao. Miss Xinyao, when I read the news, I've seen many studios going bankrupt. How can she still earn 200,000 to 300,000 yuan after entering the late game? Be careful not to be deceived. Lin Xinyao smiled and said. Don't worry, Shanshan and I are classmates in high school and college, and we have been in touch since graduation. She won't deceive me. Lin Xinyao is actually a very shrewd person, but she trusted Huang Shanshan too much, which led to being deceived. Maybe, Sister Xinyao, before you invest, it's best to check the books of her studio and see where her money comes from, whether it's through acting as a trainee, or through gold or materials. You need to check all of these. If you have checked everything and there are no issues, then you can invest, and when investing, you must not invest all your savings at home. You promised me, and then I let you go speaking. Suan grabbed Lin Xinyao's hand again. What's going on today? You're so spoiled. Lin Xinyao looked into Suan's serious eyes, feeling as if Suan wasn't joking. Her parents passed away early and she had to take care of her younger brother. Lin Xinyao grew up to be a very independent person, but she spoiled Suan from a young age. Even if Suan made some unreasonable demands, she would agree. This time, Suan's proposal is not only not excessive, but also very informative. She will naturally consider it carefully. This is not acting coquettishly. I'm telling you things very seriously. You must be careful about this kind of thing, knowing the face but not the heart. Lin Xinyao nodded and smiled, saying. Okay, sister knows now. First investigate, then invest. Even if you invest, you will still keep the cost of marrying a wife for you. Suan knew what Lin Xinyao had promised her and would definitely do it, so when she heard Lin Xinyao's promise, she felt relieved. Before her rebirth, Lin Xinyao had made this mistake, but Suan had made many more mistakes. It is also a long process to correct one by one. Suan saw the promotional poster for Fate on the wardrobe and clenched his fists. In the next 7 or 8 years, there will be no more important game in the world than Fate. His opportunity to correct his mistakes is also in this game. Suan said to Lin Xinyao. Miss Xinyao, during the summer vacation, I want to play games. Can you buy me a gaming device for Fate? Virtual games have been around for half a century, but the price of gaming equipment has always been high, costing nearly 10,000 yuan per set. Before her rebirth, Suan had a relatively introverted personality. She also knew that Lin Xinyao was fortunate and hardworking at work, so she didn't dare to ask Lin Xinyao for money to buy equipment. She waited for a month after the game server opened before playing games, and played aimlessly for several months before finding a suitable career, wasting a lot of time. Lin Xinyao feels that today's Suan is a bit different. Suan didn't make so many demands to her before, but she is happy about Suan's change. She feels that boys should have more courage. Suan used to be a bit too quiet. Lin Xinyao originally planned to give this gaming device to Suan as a birthday gift in a month's time, but now Suan asked for it in advance and gave it directly. She rubbed Suan's hair and said. Of course, it seems that the service will be open the day after tomorrow. I will place the order later and treat it as my sister's birthday gift to you in advance. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Preparation for creating characters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Preparation for creating characters in Thai restaurants in shopping malls. In front of Lin Xinyao sat a slightly chubby girl named Huang Shanshan. The two of them ordered food and talked about the studio. Huang Shanshan spoke eloquently and incessantly, saying, Xinyao, if you invest 50,000 yuan, you can only get a profit share. Over the course of a year, you only get a profit of 20,000 to 30,000 yuan. Why not invest more? Do you think the promotion of Fate is so popular? The whole street is talking about it. In the past, various countries produced their own virtual games and played their own games. This time, several major countries led the research and development together, and the market is global. Didn't you say that you have a deposit of 200,000 yuan? If you invest in all of them, you can buy an extra 20 sets of equipment. One set of equipment hires one person. Excluding salary and utilities, each set of equipment can generate a profit of 1,000 yuan, which is 20,000 yuan per month. Originally, 200,000 yuan could only give you 40% profit, but as our friends for so many years, as long as you invest 200,000 yuan, I will give you 50% profit. Lin Xinyao smiled and said. 200,000 is too much, and there is also a mortgage to repay. Huang Shanshan waved her hand and interrupted before Lin Xinyao could finish speaking. I'm not afraid of mortgage loans. I can help you repay it for a few months first. If you invest 200,000 yuan, you can earn an extra 10,000 yuan per month, which is not more than what you earn as a model now. Moreover, I will also offer you a salary. If you invest 200,000 yuan, you can earn it back in a year. Next, all you need to do is lie down and count the money. Do you think a virtual game should be in operation for at least 3 years? This time, the global collaboration of Fate will definitely last longer. You invest money in the first year, count the money in the following years, and pay off the mortgage in no time. Saving money in a bank is useless, only by investing can money be generated. Lin Xinyao shook her head and said. 200,000 is still too much, let me think about it again. Yes, I need to think about it, but think quickly. After opening the server, if you want to invest, I won't let you invest anymore. Huang Shanshan said earnestly, my studio is doing well, and there are actually other people who want to invest, but you have been my friend for so many years, so I was the first one to think of you and want to bring you in. I know you still have a younger brother to raise, and the financial pressure is high. To be honest, what Huang Shanshan said does make sense. Lin Xinyao was a bit tempted, but when she remembered Suan's words, she remained silent and thought that earning more or less is earning. The family's conditions are already not good, so it's better not to take too big a step. After the meal was served, Huang Shanshan remained silent about the studio and warmly greeted Lin Xinyao to eat. Instead, Lin Xinyao first talked about the studio. Shanshan, what does your studio make money from? I want to invest, so you have to show me your studio's accounts for the past few months, right? Huang Shanshan paused for a moment, took a sip of beer, thought for a while, and then said. I mainly make money by reselling materials. I connected with several guilds in the city, recruited people to produce materials, and sold them to them for use. Huang Shanshan felt a bit guilty. She started her studio late and did make some money at the beginning. However, after the news of the release of Fate, the material prices plummeted. She had already accumulated all the materials she had purchased, and now she owes a lot of debt. She wanted to make a comeback in Fate before seeking investment from Lin Xinyao. If Lin Xinyao had given her money, she wouldn't have used it to buy gaming equipment. Instead, she would have filled in the debt first, and then had someone modify the old equipment to play directly. However, the online duration would be limited. A studio that requires almost 24 hours of online time uses modified equipment, which would make anyone laugh at her. Even so, Huang Shanshan still felt that she could turn over. She thought to herself that after turning over, she would return Lin Xinyao's principal to her and then find an excuse to kick her out. Lin Xinyao was inexplicably excluded from school because she was too beautiful and treated strangers with aloofness. She was the only friend, so she was very confident that she could attract Lin Xinyao's investment. Lin Xinyao remembered what Suan had said to her and asked again. In the later stages of the game, isn't the depreciation of materials very severe? Can you still make money? Haha, the depreciation is very serious, but I sold all the materials before they depreciated. Huang Shanshan said with a blush on her face, Xinyao, don't think so much. You're a smart person, shouldn't you let go of this opportunity to make money? While lying, she also teased Lin Xinyao, implying that if Lin Xinyao doesn't invest, she won't have a brain. Lin Xinyao didn't fall into the trap and continued to pretend to be foolish, saying, let me take a look at the account first. Can't you trust me? It's not a matter of whether you believe it or not. Investment needs to be cautious, Shanshan. You will understand, right? Lin Xinyao said. Huang Shanshan awkwardly smiled and said. Okay, wait for me here for a moment, I'll go home and show you the account. After speaking, Huang Shanshan left. More than half an hour passed, and even though the dishes had cooled down, Huang Shanshan did not come back. Lin Xinyao sent a WeChat message to Huang Shanshan, only to find that she had been deleted as a friend and her phone number had been blocked. Lin Xinyao's vermilion lips parted slightly, feeling both indignant and fearful, thinking. Huang Shanshan, I even thought she was my friend. It turned out she was really scamming me money. If it weren't for my younger brother's reminder, she would have really cheated out of the money. Thinking of this, Lin Xinyao was no longer in the mood to eat, so she got up and left. The waiter stopped her and asked her to pay the bill, totaling over 500 yuan, which made her angry again. Passing by the exclusive store of Destiny game equipment, Lin Xinyao saw a long queue outside the store. She stood still and thought to herself that the server would open tomorrow. It would take a few more days to place an order online, so why not just buy it offline? When it came to her, she originally only wanted to buy one, but later realized that after Suan had a gaming device, she would definitely play games every day. It was better to buy one herself to play with her younger brother, so she paid 23,998 yuan and bought 2 sets of gaming devices. I bought it in the morning and delivered it home in the afternoon. Suan looked at the 2 sets of gaming devices in front of her, which were like refrigerators, and asked Lin Xinyao. Miss Xinyao, do you also want to play? He remembers that Lin Xinyao only entered the game a week later when she discovered the tricks in Huang Shanshan's studio and took over the management of the studio. If it weren't for her efforts, the studio would have gone bankrupt long ago. Originally, the studio was about to turn losses into profits by Lin Xinyao, but in the end, Huang Shanshan stabbed her in the back and ran away with money. Since then, she has aged a lot, and people in her 30s are just like those in their 40s. At that time, Suan didn't feel sorry to see it, only knew how to blame her. It was truly a beast. Lin Xinyao, who is still beautiful and charming now, nodded and joked with Suan. Yeah, come in and play with you. You won't mind me, will you? Suan was still her follower when she was a child, but after entering middle school, she became more and more independent and stopped playing with her. When she said this, she teased Suan and wanted to see her shy reaction. Unexpectedly, Suan smiled generously and said. Of course I won't mind it. Let's team up and upgrade together. By the way, Sister Xinyao, you can play as a warrior. I want to play as a hunter so that you can help me resist damage, just like when I was mischievous and my parents wanted to teach me a lesson, you stood in front of me to protect me. Lin Xinyao's role before Suan's rebirth was defensive warfare, with a high level of proficiency and being the top defensive warfare in Wenzhou. Hey! Lin Xinyao blinked her big eyes and didn't react for a moment. Her younger brother is willing to play with me again. Is the effect of getting drunk once so good? Lin Xinyao squatted next to Suan, who was assembling game equipment, and asked. Brother, have you done something bad? Sorry to tell me. Bad thing? No. What bad thing can I do? But. Lin Xinyao happily snapped her fingers, wanting to say something, but in the end, she didn't say anything. She changed the topic and said, Sister, let's help you assemble it together. How should we do this? For those with instructions, please read the instructions first and ask me if you don't understand anything. The two of them started working together and quickly assembled the game equipment and pushed it into their respective rooms. Before closing the door, Suan reminded Lin Xinyao. Sister, the game will open 10 minutes early. Remember to choose a district of Chinese clothing, race of elves, and profession of warriors. NN. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Poisonous Hunter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Poisonous Hunter. Suan half lay in the game cabin, entered her ID card, connected to the internet, entered the cloud, and quietly waited for the game to open. When sacred and magnificent buildings float in the clouds and information about server selection appears on the retina, it means that the server is open, 10 minutes earlier than the official announcement time. Now there are 2 zones opened, each with the same server, including China, the European Union, the Americas, Oceania, Africa, East Asia, West Asia, and so on. Generally, it is divided according to the world layout. In the early stage, everyone played on their own servers, and later they gathered together to engage in a big melee. It is said that the winner can even affect the interests of reality. However, Suan fought in national wars for several years in his past life and did not feel any impact, so it can only be a rumor. After choosing the Huaxia server in Zone 1, Suan refused system guidance and manually created the character herself. A virtual character identical to Suan Zhang appears in front of Suan, and Suan uses his mind to input his game ID. Solo Wolf. This is the name he used in his past life. It was from his second year of middle school and I didn't feel like he had any real friends or family around him. After growing up, it felt a bit funny. However, after becoming famous in the game, not many people called him the game ID, and they all called him their real name. Now, in order to save trouble, Suan has not changed the character name. Afterwards, the camp chose the Illumination Council, the race chose the elves, and the profession chose the hunter. Suan's game character landed in a fantasy continent called Sisya, a village of elves called Polify Village. Because the characters are created quickly, there aren't many people around Suan. The realism of fate has exploded in previous virtual online games, almost like reality. Others are surprised, but Suan has been experiencing it for 10 years and doesn't find it novel at all. He first opens the social interface, enters Lin Xinyao's ID, and adds her as a friend. System prompt. Your real-life friend has not yet created a character, please be patient. Sister Xinyao is still creating a character, so I'll go and take on the task first. I remember that every village head who receives a task from the village chief will receive the title of adventurer, which was quite useful in the early stage. Suan is walking to the village chief's house, opening the character bar to check her character attributes. Name. Solitary Wolf Number 1 Race. Elves Combat Profession. Hunter Apprentice, LV1, 0/100, Experience Value. 0 Camp. Bright Council Title. None. Attributes. Strength 5, Endurance 5, Agility 7, Perception 3, Spirit 3. Free Attribute Point. 2, Health. 50 Mana Value. 15 Physical Attack Power. 12.24 Magic Attack Power. 3.9 Armor. 9 Magic Resistance. 5 Critical Hit Rate. 10.2% Critical Damage. 200% Maximum Attack Speed. 0.66 times/second, Maximum Movement Speed. 66, 6.6 meters/second, Race Talent. Nimble Posture. Passive. Maximum Movement Speed, Attack Speed, and Casting Speed increased by 10%. Talent Point. 1. Life Skills. None. Combat Skill. Swift Arrow LV1, 0/50. Quickly shoot arrows, dealing 10 plus 1.1 AD, physical damage. Release conditions. Weapons, actions. Cooling. 4 seconds. Consumption. 1 arrow. Equipment. Training Hunting Bow, Black Iron, plus 1.2 physical attack power, equipment requirements. Level 1, Strength 2, Agility 2. Worn Arrow Bag, Black Iron, plus 5 arrow stock, 0.1 second arrow replenishment time. Old Top, Black Iron, plus 1 armor. Equipment requirement. Level 1. Old Pants, Black Iron, plus 1 armor. Equipment requirement. Level 1. Old Shoes, Black Iron, plus 1 armor. Equipment requirement. Level 1. Relics. 1 star, Compound Potion. After use, restore 30 health points for 10 seconds. After 1 minute of leaving the battle, restore 1 use. Current usable frequency. 1/1. Money. 0 gold, 0 silver, 0 copper. In Fate, equipment is divided into two types. One is equipment worn on the body, and the other is relics. Ordinary equipment attributes are calculated separately and will not be added to the attribute panel. For example, if someone cuts Suan's body now, Suan's armor will be calculated based on 9 points of basic attributes, plus 1 point of clothing, for a total of 10 points of damage. If this knife happens to hit Suan's exposed neck, then only 9 points of armor will be calculated. And relics are more like traditional equipment. No matter what it looks like, as long as it is carried on the body, it can enhance the character's panel attributes. A character can only carry up to 6 relics. Hunter is a profession that Suan is already very familiar with. Unless he obtains special artifacts, changes class characteristics, and adds points in an undisputed all-sensitive way, he directly adds 2 free attributes to agility. And there is also a little talent point. The talent list for hunters is divided into 3 categories: shooting, beast king, and survival. Before his rebirth, Suan was in the survival game, mainly relying on traps to make a living. His skills were not comparable to those of the top players, but his consciousness was invincible. He often relied on setting traps in advance to defeat the weak. In this life, he did not think of changing and planned to continue playing survival hunting. Opening the hunter's talent panel, he was about to click on the Trap Mastery talent when he suddenly remembered something. There are hidden professions in Destiny, but the number is rare. After running the game for 10 years, there are no more than 20 players who have switched to hidden professions. Suan still remembers a hidden profession that matches hunters. Poison Hunter. This type of hunter is considered an enhanced version of survival hunting, which matches Suan's gameplay. If this profession had been in my hands before, I would have been able to shine brightly. Unfortunately, I was transferred by an ordinary player, and later I seemed to have conflicts with others. I was killed, deleted, and retrained. This profession seems to be able to be transferred in the early stages. Let me think about it. Suan closed the talent panel and left that little talent point behind. He remembers that the most crucial point of this task is not to point at talent, making career mentors think you are stupid, and then they can start the subsequent tasks. Suan recalled and walked to the village chief's house in Polify village. The village chief is feeding chickens. Suan's gaze fell on him, and 2 options appeared next to him. 1. Dialogue, and 2. Gift giving. When a player encounters an NPC for the first time, these 2 options will appear to help the player engage in communication. However, when they meet again, these options will not appear and the player will need to find a topic on their own. Suan chose to have a conversation, and the village chief turned his head with a smile and said to Suan, "Hello, a novice hunter adventurer, I am the village chief of Polify village." "Hello village chief, is there anything I can help with in the village?" Suan has become proficient in communicating with NPC. "With your strength, you may not be able to help me, but you are the first adventurer to come and help the village, and we cannot let you return empty-handed." The village chief rubbed his beard and said, "All right, you can go find the hunter mentor on the west side of the village, learn from him for a while, and then come find me." System. You have accepted the task of Learn from Hunter Mentor. System. Your adventurer identity has been well known to the villagers of Polify village, and you have been awarded the title of Beginner Adventurer. Beginner Adventurer plus 1 full attributes plus 10 likability among the villagers of Polify village. This title with plus 1 full attributes is still very useful now. Suan put it on, bid farewell to the village chief, and went to find the hunter mentor. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Trigger Hidden Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Trigger Hidden Tasks. To the west of Polify village is a forest. The game map of Fate does not indicate NPCs, so finding people is also a troublesome task. Before the introduction of the strategy, many players were too lazy to spend time finding people to do tasks. Most of them simply picked up new weapons and went to fight against rabbits and chickens. However, this level-up speed was definitely not as fast as completing tasks. Although Suan was not a hunter when he first played the game in his previous life, he was also born in Polify village and was very familiar with it. He went into the forest, took 2 turns, and finally found a wooden house. The wooden house enclosed a small courtyard with a fence, and there were 4 scarecrows placed in the courtyard. The scarecrows were pierced with arrows and had target paintings attached to their heads. The hunter mentor, with a strong physique and wearing animal clothing, is practicing archery with a large bow. Suan glanced at the mentor's name and spoke forward, saying, "Master Kafan, the village chief has called me to learn from you." A 10-point goodwill bonus for those with titles, and Kafan's attitude is not cold, avoiding a lot of ridicule and mockery. He gestured for Suan to enter the hospital and then said, "Do you want to learn shooting skills, or the ability to interact with beasts, or the ability to survive in the wild?" After speaking, a selection box appeared in front of Suan, listing 3 skills: double shooting, summoning the hound, and spike trap. Learning them all requires a prerequisite, which is the corresponding talent for the key points. Suan has no natural talent and cannot learn these 3 skills, but this does not affect his decision. Suan said, "Mentor, I want to learn double shooting." "Okay, as a hunter, having good archery skills is very important." Kafan raised his big bow and said to Suan, "I'll demonstrate it to you once, you take it seriously. Learn skills from a career mentor and have the opportunity to directly upgrade your skills to LV2, saving some experience." Bang! There was only 1 string sound, but 2 arrows flew out and hit 2 scarecrow targets respectively. After completing the shooting, Kafan asked, "How is it? Do you have any insights?" Suan nodded and said, "I want to give it a try." "Well, let me see your strength." Suan also raised his bow, a familiar feeling surging in his heart. He pulled the bowstring full, shot arrows, and hit the bullseye. Kafan was puzzled and said, "Great talent, but it seems like you haven't been able to learn double shooting. I'll demonstrate it to you again." When Kafan made an action, Suan's talent interface automatically popped up in front of him, redirecting him to the shooting talent page. He was highlighted and reminded to add points, but Suan ignored it. If you want to trigger a hidden mission, you cannot learn any of the 3 types of talents, but you cannot perform too poorly, otherwise the hunter master will advise you to switch professions. It seems that you don't have the talent for shooting, so let's try calling the hound. Kafan called in 3 breeds of dogs, namely a strong bulldog, a agile Doberman, and a quick-witted black flat-haired dog. Depending on the breed, the attributes of the hunting dog also vary. In the early stages, you can choose a bulldog with high damage to quickly level up, and in the later stages, you will usually switch to a Doberman or flat-haired dog to assist in combat. Because it is a basic skill, even if you are not a hunter from the Beast King series, you can still summon hunting dogs in the future. Therefore, Suan is very familiar with these 3 types of hunting dogs and did not make any mistakes when learning to feed them with Kafan. He is very popular with these 3 hunting dogs, but due to lack of talent, he still cannot learn the summoning hunting dog skill. Kafan looked at Suan surrounded by 3 hunting dogs, grabbed her hair, and said somewhat puzzled, "What a strange thing, why can't we learn? Let's try the spike trap again." Kafan began to teach Suan how to set traps again, which was Suan's old trick, but he did the worst on the contrary because the trap skill was very unreasonable. Using the skill changed the terrain, and Suan did not learn the skill, so he had to manually set traps himself, which was not the least efficient. After manually setting up the trap, Suan took the initiative to say, "Hey, it seems that I'm not suitable to be a hunter. I'd better go and change my profession." Kafan was very optimistic about Suan. Seeing his dejected expression, he quickly grabbed Suan's hand and said, "Don't go, I think you still have a natural talent for being a hunter. It's possible that I didn't teach you well. By the way, I remember, hunters have a skill of poisoning enemies. You might be suitable for this path, but I don't have any teaching materials. Can you help me collect some? Of course, as long as I can continue to be a hunter, let me do anything. Good kid. Kafan was very satisfied with Suan's answer and patted Suan's shoulder, saying, "You go to the west of the forest and collect 20 snake-eye flowers and bring them back to me. I will teach you this skill of poisoning enemies." After Suan took on the task, she set off towards the task location. Suddenly, the sound of "ding" came to Suan's ear. She opened the social panel and in the friend interface, a character named Cradle Number 1, Celebrity Authentication, appeared. As a model, Lin Xinyao has accounts on various social media platforms, and Lullaby is her username. However, her total number of fans is only over 400,000. Although she is not very famous, she can also be verified in Fate to prevent people with ulterior motives from using her name to deceive others. Lin Xinyao sent a voice message to Suan. "Brother, where are you? There are many people in the square, and I can't find you. Open the map and see if it's in Polify village. If it is, walk towards the village chief's house. Be quick and you can get a title after taking on the task." How can I open the map? Lin Xinyao didn't play games much before and was completely a novice. It was because she was a novice that Huang Shanshan came to deceive her. In her past life, Suan was somewhat indifferent to Lin Xinyao and felt that it was only natural for her to be kind to her. She didn't know how to be grateful at all. Between completing her own tasks and helping her sister, she would definitely choose to do her own things first. For such foolish questions that he couldn't open the map, he was probably too lazy to answer. However, a series of changes happened at home later on, and he gradually grew up. He knew that those who cared about him were the most important, and he should cherish them. Unfortunately, by the time he understood this truth, he was already in a state of being alone and without relatives. Now that he has been reborn and has the opportunity to change, Suan naturally won't be impatient anymore. He patiently teaches Lin Xinyao. "Sister Xinyao, you can open the map by silently reciting it in your heart. Can you see the map? Up north and down south, left west and right east. You look at the coordinates in the bottom right corner, and moving it will change it. My coordinates are." Suan stood still, guiding Lin Xinyao step by step to the village chief's house. The game is very simple. Just give it a little teaching, and Lin Xinyao will soon learn it. Listening to Lin Xinyao's happy voice, Suan shook her head. In her previous life, when Lin Xinyao first entered the game, she didn't understand anything. When she asked him offline, she was yelled away by him. She didn't even know what was wrong with her brain at that time. After waiting for a while, Suan sent a message asking, "Miss Xinyao, how are you? Have you received the task from the village chief?" "Got it, I also got the title you mentioned. I put it on myself, isn't it impressive?" "Amazing, amazing." Suan praised me like a child and continued, "Now you go to the warrior's professional mentor to learn skills. Remember to learn the skills of the guardian department, and then come find me. Don't you go to the village chief to hand over tasks after learning. Come find me first, let's go do the task together later." Okay, end of this chapter. Chapter 5. First Battle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. First Battle. Suan leaned against a big tree and stared in the direction of the village. More and more players have entered the game, and in this short while, dozens of people have already passed by him, searching for monsters in the forest to fight. I believe there will be more players wandering in the village. Soon, Suan saw Lin Xinyao looking down at the map screen. Lin Xinyao walked slowly, staring at the coordinates in the bottom right corner of the map, proofreading bit by bit, silly and adorable. With the appearance of the imperial sister, she exuded a cute expression, which made many passers-by dazzled by the contrast and couldn't help but want to approach her. Suan quickly waved to Lin Xinyao and said. Miss Xinyao, I'm here. Lin Xinyao raised her head and saw Suan with a bright smile. She immediately closed the map and ran to Suan, saying. Brother, where are we going to play next? Those passers-by who saw Lin Xinyao with a companion lost their desire to strike up a conversation and would envy Suan before leaving. Go collect, snake-eye flower, have you learned any skills, sister? Suan asked. I learned. I can now slay and block again, Lin Xinyao said. Great, come with me. Lin Xinyao followed Suan, smelling the scent of grass, trees, and soil in the forest, feeling relieved. She had not been with Suan like this for a long time, and she sighed. I feel like you've suddenly grown up these past few days, younger brother. I used to be very disobedient, Suan self-criticized. No, younger brother, you're so good. Lin Xinyao instead defended Suan, saying, I just feel like you care about your sister, and she's so happy. Lin Xinyao has very low requirements for Suan, and a little care from Suan satisfies her. Looking at the happy smile on her face, Suan remembered the bad things she had done to Lin Xinyao in her past life, and increasingly felt that she was not human. Suan suddenly walked up to Lin Xinyao and pressed her shoulder, saying. As long as you are willing to make me care, sister, I will continue to care. After Suan had done something very outrageous to Lin Xinyao in her previous life, Lin Xinyao also said such words to Suan. However, Suan himself was unwilling and even said some hurtful things, which made Lin Xinyao angry. Lin Xinyao poked Suan's forehead and smiled, saying. What are you doing? It's so emotional, but as a man, since you promised, you must do it. You have to take care of your sister for a lifetime. Well, I can definitely do it. I will never let Xinyao leave me again. Listening to Suan's numb words, Lin Xinyao's smile on her face became even brighter. She said. Sister, you can rest assured that you can enjoy retirement life with peace of mind in the future. The two chatted and arrived at Suan's mission location. At the roots of some large trees, there grows a black flower with a yellow vertical mark on its petals, resembling the eyes of a snake. This is the snake pupil flower. To obtain the snake-eye flower that meets the task requirements, it is necessary to dig it out by roots, which takes more than 10 seconds. Lin Xinyao saw a mountain cat monster guarding every flower and asked. Brother, are you going to beat these monsters before you can pick flowers? Smart. Suan had already taken out his bow, pulled the strings full, and said, Sister, come resist. Remember to use blocks, know how to use skills, right? I know. When Lin Xinyao created the character, she followed the system guidance and learned basic operations such as walking, running, jumping, releasing skills, and communicating with NPCs. In addition, she waited for certification, so she entered the game later. Lin Xinyao took out her sword and, guided by the system, put on a warrior's standard combat posture. Suan then released her hand and let the arrows fly out. The arrow accurately landed on the eyes of the bobcat. 27. The eye area and armor were very weak, and Suan almost dealt full damage. Forest Lynx, LV2. 73/100. My younger brother shoots very accurately, Lin Xinyao exclaimed in surprise. Suan's mouth slightly curled up, and she said with some hesitation. It's just average. Suan had previously discovered at the hunter mentor that after his rebirth, his archery skills were much better than in his previous life. Both accuracy and aiming speed had improved, almost like top players. Suan thought to herself. When I started playing hunter in my past life, my body had already been emptied by the color of tobacco and alcohol. Even if I successfully quit, it would cause permanent damage to my body and affect my operation. Now that I have just turned 18, both my mental and physical abilities are at their peak. It is only natural that I am stronger now than in my previous life. The mountain cat was attacked and rushed towards Suan. Lin Xinyao ran towards the mountain cat in a panic, holding a sword in both hands and slashing heavily at the mountain cat. Slash again. The bobcat let out a growl, stopped and turned around, bypassing Lin Xinyao, and continued to attack Suan. Lin Xinyao was anxious and wanted to catch up with her sword. Suddenly, she realized she couldn't move and shouted anxiously. "Brother, the characters are out of control." "Ha! They can move again. Be careful, brother. Sister is here." The mountain cat moves faster than Lin Xinyao, but Suan also moves and pulls the position, so the mountain cat cannot hit Suan for a while. Suan arched and shot an arrow while running, hitting the other eye of the bobcat. Both eyes were shot, and a pair of tightly closed eyes icon appeared on the top of the bobcat's head, indicating that it had been blinded. The blinded bobcat was barking wildly, chasing after Suan. Because it couldn't see the way, it collided with a tree and fell. Only then did Lin Xinyao catch up. Lin Xinyao let out a shout of "Ha!" cheering herself on. She raised her sword and struck the bobcat, shouting with great momentum as she swung. "Tell you to chase my brother. Kill you." Looking at Lin Xinyao's domineering appearance, Suan thought to herself, no wonder in her past life Lin Xinyao could become the first offensive battle in Wenzhou. For warriors, the most important thing is not to be afraid when facing monsters. After all, this is a virtual game, and fighting monsters has a feeling. Not to mention female players, even male players have greatly reduced the proportion of choosing melee professions due to this reason. From Lin Xinyao's performance, it can be seen that she is not afraid of fighting monsters at all. As a warrior, Lin Xinyao's initial physical attack power is higher than Suan's. However, she attacks the back of the bobcat and has calculated armor, so she only deals a dozen or so damage, which is not as good as Suan's. The hatred coefficient in close combat is higher than in long-range combat, and with the influence of AI subjective combat algorithms, the bobcat gave up chasing Suan and turned around to fight against Lin Xinyao. The blinded bobcat's paws swung wildly, without any organization. In Suan's opinion, it was easy to dodge, but Lin Xinyao was a newcomer. Like most first-time players playing virtual online games, she stood still and ate all the bobcat's paw attacks. The bobcat is a 2-level monster, and coupled with being a sensitive attack type, its damage is significant. Lin Xinyao was caught a few times and lost half of her health. Lin Xinyao is quite clever. Even if she was hit by a bobcat, she didn't need Suan's reminder. She took the initiative to use out-of-range blocks to offset some damage, otherwise she would lose more health. Suan saw that Lin Xinyao had already held on to his hatred, so he quickly drew his bow and shot an arrow. After that, he immediately used the swift arrow to counteract the stiffness of the character's attack and completed a double combo. This time, Suan's shooting location was a bit creepy. It was the chrysanthemum of the mountain cat. Still a fragile low armor part, 2 arrows directly took the bobcat away. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Free Operation Mode. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Free Operation Mode. The bobcat fell to the ground and dropped 2 copper coins. Because they are in a team state, after Suan goes up to pick up, the copper coins are automatically evenly distributed to Suan and Lin Xinyao's backpacks. Average allocation is the default teaming rule of the system, and in addition to this rule, you can also choose captain allocation and free pickup. Lin Xinyao walked over and curiously said, "Cats can lose money. When a monster dies, it will definitely drop coins. The more advanced the monster, the more money it will drop." Suan explained to Lin Xinyao, "If you learn the skinning skill, you can earn some extra fur, which can be used to make equipment or sell money. It can also be used as a relic to upgrade stars, but these materials are all from rare boss monsters." Lin Xinyao stared at Suan with some confusion and asked, "Brother, why do you know so much? Isn't the game just starting to take off?" Suan coughed and made up a reason to explain. "A beta player on the forum has posted a guide post, but it should be deleted now. So it turns out, with so much homework done, I've been wanting to play this game for a long time, haven't I? Hee, almost. Suan bypassed the body of the bobcat and went to collect the snake-eye flowers by the tree. Lin Xinyao is like a curious baby, asking everything. She looks at the bobcat on the ground and asks. Is this corpse left here? It won't stink. No, the game will refresh it. Do you see that all the arrows inserted on it have disappeared? It just refreshes. A normal monster corpse will exist for 1 minute, and the things they drop will exist for a longer time, up to half an hour. Suan finished explaining, and the collection of purple pupil flowers had also been completed. He stood up and said. Sister, you drink a compound potion to restore your health and go kill a bobcat. Oh, okay. Lin Xinyao took out the compound medicine, opened the bottle cap, and drank it all. It didn't taste much, just like plain water. This composite potion is an initial artifact that every player will equip, which can improve the player's early leveling speed, so as not to rest for half a day after hitting a monster. After drinking the potion and restoring health, Lin Xinyao asked Suan another question while waiting. Brother, just now I used heavy slashing and wanted to stop the bobcat, but my body was out of control and it took about a second to move. Is there something wrong with the gaming device? Speaking of which, Lin Xinyao's eyebrows furrowed tightly and she said angrily. A thing worth over 10,000 yuan, so easy to break, I need to go to the after-sales service for an explanation later. Suan couldn't help but laugh at Lin Xinyao words. Lin Xinyao clenched her pink fist and struck Suan's arm, saying. What's so funny about it? Sister Xinyao, it's not that there's a problem with the game equipment, it's because you're in system boot mode, and your skills have fixed actions that cannot be cancelled on your own. The warrior's heavy slaying skill has a longer backsway, Suan said. After hearing this, Lin Xinyao drew inferences and said. Is it possible to turn on free mode and cancel it on your own? Yes, but without system guidance, many skills you use are not standard, and the damage will be very low. Lin Xinyao was unhappy when she thought that when she paused, the monster would pass her and attack Suan, so she said. I want to give it a try. Suan is not against it either. If you want to become a master, you must activate the free mode. With Lin Xinyao's talent, you should be able to quickly master it. Then wait for me to cause trouble. You just need to try your skills, don't worry about my safety. How could that be? Lin Xinyao opposed. Suan couldn't help but laugh and cry. Lin Xinyao really cared too much about him and said. It's okay, the bobcat can't hit me. Moreover, the monster's level is low and the damage is also low. Even if scratched twice, there won't be any problem. Lin Xinyao looked at the confident smile on Suan's face and suddenly came to her senses. Because Suan had suddenly become more talkative today, her behavior toward Suan seemed to have returned to the way she had been in high school. She was a bit overly concerned. Lin Xinyao thought to herself, at that time, my younger brother started ignoring me because I looked too closely at him. The same mistake must not be made again. Thinking of this, Lin Xinyao said with some fear. Well, then I'll give it a try first. Okay, I'm starting the game. Suan shot arrows at the mountain cat on his right side, but the angle was not good this time. He didn't hit the unprotected area and only dealt about 10 damage. When the mountain cat ran towards Suan, Suan began to retreat. Lin Xinyao followed Suan, and Suan stopped and said to Lin Xinyao. Sister Xinyao, you don't need to follow me. You just need to follow the monster's path and find opportunities to use your skills. Oh. Suan guided Lin Xinyao while drawing up his bow and arrows. He launched a general attack, a swift attack, and a general attack with 3 arrows in one go, taking away half of the health of the bobcat. Lin Xinyao looked at the changes in the muscle lines on Suan's arm while shooting arrows, and her eyes were about to star. She couldn't help but think. Besides appearance and figure, how could my younger brother's other aspects also become what I dream of? I used to specialize in training but couldn't even develop it. Did I really fall in love? Lin Xinyao believes that love can change a person. The bobcat swooshed past Lin Xinyao and rushed straight towards Suan, who helplessly shouted, "Miss Xinyao." He felt that Lin Xinyao was a bit out of form today, stunned, and didn't seem like a mature senior sister at all. "Ah, I'm sorry, sister got distracted. I'll be right here." Lin Xinyao picked up her sword, chased after the mountain cat, and with a loud bang, launched a heavy slash. In free mode, the system only guided the initial action. After starting, the guidance suddenly disappeared, catching Lin Xinyao off guard. As the cat was about to run away, her movements changed a lot. She forcefully chopped down her sword, rubbing against the cat's buttocks, causing 7 or 8 injuries. Lin Xinyao immediately raised her sword to pursue, and there was no pause as expected. At this moment, the bobcat swung its claws to counterattack, causing Lin Xinyao to panic. She wanted to use blocking skills like before, but in free mode, her speed of releasing skills was too slow. She raised her sword halfway, and before the skills could be released, she was attacked by the bobcat. At the same time, she also received a system prompt saying, "Skill release failed." Suan approached Lin Xinyao and swung his bow close to the bobcat. A broken bow symbol appeared on his head, which is the damage punishment for hunters using their bow in close combat. It can only deal 70% of the damage. Similarly, if other professions throw weapons, they will also receive damage punishment when attacking from a distance. To avoid punishment, one needs to use corresponding weapons. For example, if a hunter engages in close combat with a short sword, there will be no damage punishment. If other professions use bows and crossbows for long-range attacks, there will be no damage punishment, just no corresponding skills. Bobcats are also half-hearted. When they are harassed by Suan, they turn around and attack Suan. When it waved its claws, Suan was able to dodge with various movements such as sideways, rolling, and jumping, as if he could know its attack trajectory in advance. He braved a 30% damage penalty and used a bow to kill the bobcat. "Brother, do you seem to be very skilled?" Lin Xinyao asked with some uncertainty. Suan gave her a thumbs up and confidently said, "It's super impressive. So sister, if you have anything you don't understand, just come and ask me, don't be shy." Suan's past life was at the age of 27 or 28, and he was able to gradually reach the peak on his own, shining brightly in national wars. Now, he is 10 years younger and has improved a lot in all aspects. It can be said that he is super powerful, but it is not a boast. I'm not shy when it comes to using my younger brother." Lin Xinyao ran over to Suan and asked, "Brother, just now the system prompted me that the skill release failed, and there was also a system prompt about skill completion when I released heavy slashes. What is this? I didn't have this prompt when I used the skill before." End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Multiple Poisons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Multiple Poisons. Do you have the factor of release condition in the skill introduction? If any condition is broken when releasing a skill, the skill will fail. In free operation mode, due to non-standard actions, it is more likely to be destroyed, but as long as you practice regularly, you are not afraid. As for skill completion, it is the reward given by the game to players who choose the free operation mode. In system guidance mode, the skill completion rate is constant at 80%, and at this time, the skill damage is also constant at 100%. If we lower our skills in free operation mode, there is a chance of exceeding 80% completion, resulting in higher damage. Of course, if the completion is too low, the skill damage will also be reduced. I see. Lin Xinyao looked suddenly enlightened and asked curiously, "Brother, are you also using free mode? What is your skill completion rate?" Suan smiled, opened the battle record, and copied the system message to Lin Xinyao. Although the monster is strong, the players are not bad either. After eating out, they immediately start forming teams, and a few people take turns resisting damage, making it easy for the bobcats to deal with. Teacher Kafan, Suan shouted to Kafan as she walked through the crowd, I have brought the snake eye flower you requested. There are more and more players near the bobcat territory, and as soon as the monster refreshes, several players will flock to it and chop it to death with their swords. There are really more people than monsters. Without hesitation, Lin Xinyao said. Open the talent interface. Next to the survival category, there is an additional poison category. However, this category does not have a complete panel. It has been extended to some extent, and some routes have been upgraded to the other three categories of talents, which can be considered as a supplement and enhancement to the other three categories of talents. If Suan has enough heavenly empowerment points, he can also learn talents from other categories in the future. During this period, many players have already reached level 2 and come to trouble the bobcats. Suan looked at the effect of full points in advance and found that it can stack up to 5 times and deal 5 times more damage. It must be full points. Multiple poisons, 1/3. The toxin damage you inflict on the target can stack up to 3 times. While Kafan was speaking, a system prompt popped up in front of Suan. Sister Xinyao, we have enough mission materials. Let's go, Suan said to Lin Xinyao, who wanted to go grab the monsters. No, for every 2% completion, it only increases by 1%. Only by breaking through 99% and achieving 100% can it increase by 20%, and there will be special effects attached. For example, ignoring armor effects following the swift arrow will only appear after the completion reaches 100%. Because it took a while to teach and collect, it took almost 40 minutes. First-level monsters are familiar to players and have low attribute designs, but second-level monsters belong to the normal level. These monsters wear novice ragged clothing to fight against the bobcats, and if their skills are slightly inferior, they will be killed and give up their initial health in fate. Few people. After giving the rune book to Kafan, he played with the snake eye flower on the table for a while and made a bottle of poison. He soaked the arrowhead in the medicine for a while, took it out, and said. Suan and Lin Xinyao left and arrived at the small courtyard where the hunter mentor was located. The courtyard was overcrowded, and many hunter players used scarecrows to practice accuracy. System message. Due to mastering multiple poisons, the level of poisoned arrows has been increased. Do you want to do it together? I only receive experience rewards. 45341 System message. Hunter mentor Kafan from Polify village is teaching you the poison arrows skill. Hunters have many poisonous skills, but their damage is relatively low. However, after clicking on this multi-poison talent, it's different. With one talent, they can stack poison 3 times, which is equivalent to 3 times the damage. According to Suan's understanding, these hidden talent trees are the only ones in the entire game. After he obtains them, even if others do the same tasks as him, they cannot obtain them. Well done, come with me inside, Kafan said. Does every 1% increase in completion result in a 1% increase in skill damage? Lin Xinyao asked. Hey buddy, don't go, why is it so cold? Sister, I also need to work hard and strive to achieve 100% completion. Lin Xinyao was greatly encouraged and found a sleeping bobcat. She lowered her voice, but also said excitedly, Brother, I'll try sneaking at it. It's okay, let's go find other strange brushes. Suan asked, do you like places with more people or places with fewer people, Sister Xinyao? Poisoned arrow LV2, 0/200. Passive. When your arrow hits a target, it will poison it, causing it to suffer, 2 plus 0.1 minimum AD, points of toxin damage per second for 5 seconds. This way we can live a world of 2 with our younger brother. After Kafan received the snake eye flower, he went to the room and took out a dilapidated book to hand over to Suan, saying, I have only learned a little about the ability to kill enemies with poison, but my true skills are all in this rune book. I hope you can understand. Unless he deletes the number, this rune book will be reset by the game, and the way it is obtained will also change. Suan shook her head and explained to Lin Xinyao in more detail. System message. Swift arrow skill completion rate is 100%, dealing 120% skill damage, ignoring the target's 15% armor. After collecting 20 snake-eye flowers, Lin Xinyao's completion rate of heavy slaying has stabilized around 85%, which is similar to the system guidance. Moreover, she can also effectively use blocking skills when under attack, which is indeed a game talent. Here we go. Lin Xinyao ran to Suan's side and worried, there are many people. If we hand in the task and come back, the cat refresh point we occupy will definitely be taken away by someone. What will we do then? The first talent under the poison series is called multi-poison. The conversation between the two caught the attention of the players in the yard, and they all curiously asked Suan. Brother, what task did you trigger? What is the reward? How did it trigger? Subsequently, Suan became Lin Xinyao's bodyguard. Whenever Lin Xinyao provoked a bobcat, he quickly repaired the damage and solved it to prevent Lin Xinyao from being killed. When Lin Xinyao tried to fight, he also added some game knowledge to Lin Xinyao. Suan has been playing games for so many years and knows that players are curious babies. The questions are never answered, so she simply ignored them and followed Kafan into the house. Well, after we finish a few necessary tasks, we'll go to places with higher monster levels to brush monsters, and the level will also increase faster. Skills like Swift Arrow that are almost indistinguishable from regular attacks, Suan can easily achieve 100% completion. Suan watched as Lin Xinyao tiptoed closer to the relaxed and alert bobcat, thinking to herself that Lin Xinyao had a good gaming savvy. She knew how to try out the sleeping bobcat and accidentally avoided the monster's warning range. Next, I'm going to teach you how to use poisoned arrows to avoid hurting yourself. You sound so good. System message. You have obtained the Poisonous Hunter rune book. After use, you can activate the Hunter Poison talent. This skill is considered a hidden skill for hunters, without any prerequisite talent requirements. There are many ways to learn it, and it can be considered an addition to this task. What is truly important is the rune book that can open the talent tree. Kafan hugged his chest with both hands and a sneer on his face, constantly mocking the players in the yard who couldn't shoot accurately. Due to his ability to teach skills, these players were mocked and dared not refute. If he got angry and didn't teach, he would have to go to the skill book to learn on his own. Now that the game has just started, I don't know when the skill book will explode. Even if I happen to encounter it, the price will definitely be very expensive, so career mentors must not offend me. Suan immediately slapped the rune book and learned it. Come to the yard and show me your learning achievements, Kafan said. I hope you can learn this time. Suan nodded and followed Kafan to the yard. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Peeling Skills. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Peeling Skills. Hey buddy, have you finished the task? What reward did you get? Hey buddy, how do we trigger the mission? Can I spend 10 yuan to buy it from you? At the entrance, players rushed up. Fortunately, in non-combat mode, if the system determines that you are maliciously surrounded, it will temporarily ignore volume collisions and allow you to pass through the players directly. Suan triggered it now, passing through these people all at once. Some people were not aware of this setting and were surprised, thinking that Suan had acquired some special skills. At this point, some players who were slightly more knowledgeable came out to popularize science, and the topic deviated. This setting is not applicable to NPCs, but Kafan is strong and powerful. With a tower-like arm sweep, he separates the crowd and pushes away a person practicing, gesturing for Suan to shoot. Suan is also not in the ink, and a single arrow hits the bullseye. The scarecrow is harmed by green toxins floating from his head. Brother Nyobi, how did you guide him? He shot so accurately. Professional. What skills have you learned? Suan didn't wait for Kafan to speak before shooting another arrow. The toxin damage added up. Suan did this to show Kafan that she not only learned poisoned arrows, but also mastered multiple poisons. In the later stages of the game, players who do more tasks have this awareness of improving task completion. As Suan watched the toxin damage jumping out of the scarecrow's body change from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, she raised her eyebrows. Multiple poisons are even more powerful than he thought. He originally thought it was to increase the frequency of jumping poison, but he didn't expect the damage to be directly added, so he wasn't very afraid of high magic resistance units. After the third arrow was shot, the toxin damage was reduced to 9 points. Kafan applauded and praised with a smile. I'm not mistaken, you do have excellent hunting talent. With this arrow, go to the vegetable field to hunt 30 rabbits who steal radishes. Then go find the village chief and tell him that you have the ability to help him solve his problems. After killing 30 wild rabbits and adding mission experience, players can level up to 2 levels, all of which are already calculated by the system. If they don't come to a professional mentor to do missions, they will also trigger missions when passing by the village chief at a slightly higher level. System prompt. The hunter mentor Kafan from Polify village has increased his favorability towards you by +40. Okay, thank you, mentor. Suan reached out to grab the iron arrow, which was the item for the subsequent mission. Under normal circumstances, Kafan should have given a wooden arrow, which may increase the rewards for subsequent missions. After receiving the iron arrow, Suan did not immediately leave. The 40 points of favorability should be his implicit reward for displaying the multiple poisons. Including the 10 points of favorability of the title, it meets the minimum requirement for Kafan to teach the peeling skill. So Suan borrowed the task given to her by Kafan and said to him, Master Kafan, after killing the wild rabbit, I want to peel off his fur to earn some money. Can you teach me? Every hunter should know how to deal with their spoils of war. This small matter is naturally not a problem, Kafan readily agreed after reaching the standard of favorability. That's great, Master Kafan. I still have a companion. Suan quickly waved to Lin Xinyao in the distance, asking her to come over. After Lin Xinyao arrived, he continued, please also teach my partner, she also wants to learn. Kafan frowned. If it weren't for Lin Xinyao's title and 10 points of goodwill bonus, he would have directly driven Suan away. System prompt. The hunter mentor Kafan from Polify village has reduced his favorability towards you by 0.10. Now, Kafan has only lowered his favorability and agreed, while also teaching Suan and Lin Xinyao the skills of skinning. Ordinary NPCs like Kafan have an easy to increase but difficult to decrease liking. If you don't seize this opportunity, you need to let Lin Xinyao sell things to give Kafan to enhance liking in order to learn. Now that the game has just opened, it is actually difficult to spend money to win favor. Therefore, using 10 points of useless goodwill to teach Lin Xinyao the peeling skill is still very cost-effective. After Suan left, other players followed suit, and although they were all rejected, at least they knew the information that Kafan could teach the peeling skill, and the triggering conditions for this task were not difficult. As long as they tried for a period of time, they could be cracked. Influenced by Suan, some players later gathered good feelings and learned skills, but also invited friends to learn together. Then, incidents of both being rejected also occurred, which can be considered as being tricked by Suan. Suan left the hunter master's house with Lin Xinyao and went to the fields to find those wild rabbits stealing radishes. Miss Xinyao, what monster does your career mentor want you to kill? Suan remembers that after learning the skills, the subsequent tasks will be randomly selected from wild rabbits, wild boars, and wild wolves. Among them, wild rabbits are the simplest, while wild wolves and wild boars are more difficult. The difficulty level does not affect the task reward, but it is just a matter of luck. It's also a rabbit, Lin Xinyao said. That's perfect, we can come together. When they arrived at the field, there stood an elderly man sighing at the entrance. It was the radish he had grown that had been eaten by a wild rabbit. Even with many players coming to help, he still maintained his sorrowful persona. Suan told the old man that Kafan had asked him to help, so the old man let Suan and Lin Xinyao in. Following Suan into the countryside, Lin Xinyao turned back frequently and said to Suan, "That old uncle is so pitiful. Do you want to help him?" Suan asked. "How can I help you?" "Shooting rabbits." Lin Xinyao looked at the fields and saw rabbit corpses all over the place. These rabbits can't even eat carrots. As soon as they refresh, they are turned over by people. It's fortunate that this field is big enough, otherwise it wouldn't be enough for people to fight. Lin Xinyao said, somewhat speechless. It feels like it doesn't need our help. This rabbit can't even eat carrots. We can try a different way. Let's peel some rabbit skin and give it to him to try. Anyway, we just learned the skill, right? Suan said. Suan didn't really want to help the old man. He made this suggestion because the old man's wife was a tailor. As long as she gave enough 50 animal skins, she could get the equipment with the largest protection area, the top and pants. The most cost-effective option among them is to exchange rabbit skin. The rabbit skin is sold in a store, and a maximum of 2 copper pieces can be exchanged for 2 equipment with decent attributes, which can be considered a big profit. Lin Xinyao didn't think much and thought this idea was good. Rabbit skin can be sold for money and can help the elderly. Brother, let's hurry up and grab a refresh point. Watching Lin Xinyao excitedly go hunting rabbits, Suan followed behind and shouted. You don't need to look for rabbits, just find a place with more carrots and wait. For this type of mission monster, the system will adjust the monster's refresh point based on the number of players. Just wait for the monster to come and find us. Hey! Is there such a thing? Brother, did you see it from an internal beta post? Suan has found a place where carrots grow densely. After standing there for a while, a brown wild rabbit has indeed emerged. This wild rabbit is as big as a dog, fat and chubby, with fierce eyes. Its teeth are like buck teeth, not cute at all. Even a girl would not be reluctant to take action on this appearance. As soon as the rabbit appeared, Suan fired 3 arrows and killed it. After it fell to the ground, a copper coin exploded. Suan came forward to peel the skin and obtained a complete rabbit skin. The proficiency of the peeling skill has also increased by 2 points. As long as 25 complete quality rabbit skins are peeled, the peeling skill can be upgraded. Lin Xinyao walked over and found that the rabbit's body had disappeared. She asked. Will the body disappear prematurely after being skinned? That's right, Suan said. I'll kill the rabbit, and you come peel the skin, Sister Xinyao. Taking advantage of the monster's ability to refresh with the player, Suan darts back and forth in the field. When the wild rabbit brushes it out, it will collide with him. When there is a swift arrow, it will be instantly killed. When there is no arrow, it will take more time to run. This way, the speed of monster brushing is much faster than that of players guarding a single point, leaving behind a pile of monster corpses. Lin Xinyao followed behind Suan and used peeling when encountering a corpse, like harvesting vegetables. With a flash of light, a piece of skin fell into her backpack and she had a great time playing. Collecting rabbit skin was a joyful gathering when suddenly an disharmonious voice came over. Don't you have eyes? Who made you move the monster we killed? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Monster Hunting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Monster Hunting. Upon hearing the sound, Suan looked around and saw a male knight and a female pastor pointing at Lin Xinyao. The pastor was the first to speak out and attack Lin Xinyao. Lin Xinyao was originally having a happy time with Suan, but suddenly someone came to find fault. The smile on her face that had been hanging all night disappeared, and she frowned slightly. However, it seemed that the other party was taking reason, so she remained polite and said, "Do you also want to collect things from the rabbit corpse? I'll go kill one and give it back to you. Who wants you to let me know? Who cares about a monster corpse? I just want you to keep your eyes open and not touch anyone else's things." The pastor girl had a strong smell of gunpowder. The night player felt a bit embarrassed and pulled the girl's hand, saying, "Stop making trouble and continue with the task." The girl hugged her chest with both hands and said coldly, "Oh, I'm leaving, so you can look at this fox spirit openly, right?" "I didn't look." The knight lacked some confidence. Encountering a girl like Lin Xinyao on the street who is so beautiful and has such a good figure, not to mention a man, even a woman's gaze will be attracted. The knight naturally also looked at it, but didn't expect his girlfriend to be so jealous. After discovering that he was peeking, he immediately went crazy by taking advantage of Lin Xinyao's mistake of peeling the wrong body. Lin Xinyao shook her head and felt that the woman was really sick. She was about to leave when she saw Suan coming over. She said in advance, "It's okay. Well, I know, but my sister can't let this shrew curse for nothing." Suan didn't want to avoid the pastor, and the other party could also hear the insults. The pastor girl immediately stopped scolding her boyfriend and turned to confront Suan, saying, "You are the shrew, your whole family is a shrew." Suan raised his bow and aimed it at the priest. In Fate, there is no PK protection, and one level can PK. However, without sin value, death in a PK with the same faction only requires experience punishment, without losing equipment or relics. Therefore, it is rare to see someone else's equipment being well equipped and explode their equipment. Moreover, in Fate, relics are more important than equipment. If you don't deliberately display them, others won't know what relics you have. You can only judge whether your relics are good or bad based on their attributes. "Hold the broken bow and scare who," said the pastor girl, but she stepped back half a step and fell behind the knight. "Your grandfather, I never scare people." Suan smiled and said, "I'll shoot you right away and pick you up." "I'm sorry." The girl wanted to speak harshly, but was shot in the mouth by Suan with an arrow, causing weakness damage. The game will automatically harmonize some scenes that may cause mental health problems, so the girl only feels a pain in her mouth, and the arrow inserted into her mouth disappears the next second. "I'm so obedient. If I ask you to answer, you'll just open your mouth and answer." Suan sneered as he arched again. The knight listened to Suan's vulgar language and was also angry. He said, "Show respect to my girlfriend. I'll teach my granddaughter a lesson. How could you get in the way? I know, you can't stand your girlfriend being shot by me. Then your grandfather also pities you and won't let you see it." As soon as the words fell, the arrows flew out and hit the knight's eyes. In the game, even if shot, it will quickly recover, but the eye area needs to be attacked. The knight still instinctively crouched down to dodge, and the arrow landed on his girlfriend. "Huh, so you don't hate your girlfriend being shot by me, do you?" Suan's arrow pointed at the girl, and the arrow followed his gaze as it moved over the priest's body. After deliberately staying in a sensitive position for a few more seconds, Suan asked, "Hey, next arrow, where do you want me to shoot you? You're shameless." The pastor girl was so angry that her face turned red. Just as she was about to call out her boyfriend to teach Suan a lesson, Lin Xinyao advanced and caught Suan back. Lin Xinyao furrowed her brows and whispered, "Brother, who did you learn all this from? Don't learn anything bad." Suan awkwardly coughed twice, just thinking about teaching each other a lesson, exposing her bad habits from her past life. In his past life, Suan was one of the most disliked players in Fate and was repeatedly elected first with a high number of votes. There was a lot of evidence to prove, and he suffered from his vulgar language during PK. Additionally, due to his accurate shooting, he had a particularly strong sense of humiliation. I can't handle it anymore. I know. Lin Xinyao knew that Suan was caring for her, so she smiled happily and said, it's almost enough. Let's solve them quickly. Suan leaned over to Lin Xinyao's ear and whispered. I can't kill them. When the level is low, it's difficult to wash out the evil points. I still want to level up, just discuss them and do it. Make up your mind, sister will listen to you. After whispering, Suan stood up straight and said to the couple who were also whispering. My elder sister has a large amount, I forgive you all. As long as you leave the wild rabbit field, I will let you go. Otherwise, the two of you would want to practice well. Although Suan is very arrogant, there is something wrong with Suan's arrows. The knight believed that Suan was a master, and if we continue to argue, we will definitely suffer losses. So he discussed a peaceful resolution with his girlfriend. The pastor's sister was persuaded by the knight and her mind had just turned a little. When she heard Suan threatening them to leave, her anger immediately rose again. She broke away from the knight and said. You stole our things, why do you want us to leave? I'll stay here, what can you do with us? We're only at level 1 now, and even if we die, there won't be any loss. I want to see how you can stop us from leveling up. Let's go. The pastor girl's mind was not entirely filled with water. Knowing that her boyfriend was already scared by Suan's ejaculation, she was somewhat unreliable. After speaking, she took her boyfriend away and left the problem to Suan. Sister Xinyao, you can first level yourself, and I'll go discuss them, Suan said. I'll go with you. Suan showed a puzzled expression and said. Wait, what I have to do is too sleazy. It's okay, sister won't talk to you. But I must accompany you. What if you can't beat the two of them alone? Lin Xinyao worried. Moral education is one thing, doting on one's younger brother is another. Suan knew Lin Xinyao very well and knew that she couldn't persuade her on such a matter, so she nodded and said. Sister, you can come with me. Suan doesn't fight monsters either. He hangs behind the pastor and knight, leisurely. When the pastor and knight start fighting rabbits, he takes the last blow, steals all the allocation rights of items, and takes half of the experience. These are secondary, and the most crucial thing is that after the monster is snatched, the tasks are not counted. More than 10 monsters were taken away by Suan in a row, and the priest and knight were a bit angry. They used various methods, including but not limited to blocking Suan's line of sight, using skills to explode, and using their bodies to block arrows, but none of them were able to protect the monsters in their hands. Lin Xinyao remained the same as before, following Suan's side, picking up the bodies of the wild rabbits he had killed. Looking at the angry pastor and knight, as well as Suan whistling on the side, she thought to herself. It turned out to be just robbing monsters, not at all obscene. However, when the knight and priest decided to mess it up, they would sit still and waste time. Suan went to shoot them 3 times, insulted them with words, and urged them to move. Lin Xinyao was speechless again. Indeed, as her younger brother said, it was too lewd. Although the arrow will disappear in just 1 second after falling down 3 paths, the visual effect of that second alone is enough to be excruciating. The players around Suan noticed that Suan was so abnormal and deliberately kept away from him. In the fiercely competitive rabbit field, miraculously, there was an extra piece of land. Suan finished shooting arrows and went to brush the rabbits, but it didn't delay much time. He continued to brush and even upgraded. The knights and priests thought about resisting, and as soon as they resisted, they ran away. As soon as they stopped, Suan continued to attack their sensitive parts. They were so disgusted that they left after more than 10 minutes. When torturing these 2 people, the wild rabbit had already killed enough, so Suan called on Lin Xinyao to hand over the task. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Not playing with tanks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Not playing with tanks. Select the display prompt box, then click Gift, put the rabbit skin on it, and remember to put it in its entirety. Suan guided Lin Xinyao to deliver rabbit skin to his grandfather in the field, and he himself did the same operation. System prompt. You have gifted 50 complete rabbit skins to the villager Alai of Polify village, and have gained his favor, plus 60. After receiving the rabbit skin, Alai smiled and nodded in gratitude to Suan, while saying, "Enthusiastic adventurer, the clothes you're wearing are too worn. Out. Give these rabbit leashes to my wife, who is a tailor. Let her sew you a better set of clothes. Thank you for your generosity and I am happy to serve you." Suan took on the task. In the task prompt, the name of Alai's wife was given. You can ask Alai where she lives now, or go to the village to ask. More cleverly, you can also speculate that Alai's wife should work in the village tailor shop. Suan is very familiar with Polify village, and I remember the process of this task. There is no need to go over the top and just go there. Lin Xinyao did something and sent out the rabbit skin. Alai said exactly the same thing to Lin Xinyao, and Lin Xinyao also received the task. On the way back to the village, Lin Xinyao turned her head and asked Suan. "Brother," the old man said, "we are wearing worn-out clothes. If we wear better equipment, won't we be able to trigger this mission?" I don't know either. However, it should be very likely. Suan didn't expect this, but judging from his experience, the situation Lin Xinyao mentioned is very likely to happen. So there's something my younger brother doesn't know, Lin Xinyao smiled. I'm also playing this game for the first time, how could I know everything? Suan said a cold joke that only he could understand. By the way, younger brother, after upgrading, there are 2 free attribute points. How do I add them? Lin Xinyao asked again. You can play defense battles and increase your full endurance. Okay. Suan and Lin Xinyao returned to the village, which was very lively. In front of each NPC, there were several players harassing and trying to set up tasks. However, these seemingly active players were actually the mildest players, and those who had played the game were basically the first to upgrade. NPCs like these who have not been assigned high AI will not receive good rewards even if they have tasks. Only when they leave the village, go to a wider world, and find NPCs in the main storyline, can they access tasks with good rewards. An NPC can only converse with one player, but with the existence of dialogue boxes, fixed behaviors such as handing in repeatable tasks and giving gifts do not require dialogue. As long as it is within the NPC's accessible range, it can rely on prompt boxes to complete the dialogue. Suan and Lin Xinyao arrived at the tailor's shop and handed in a task. No one noticed that they had received the reward, so there was no situation like Suan did when he went to Kafana to hand in the task. The equipment obtained by the two is the same. Exquisite animal leather top, bronze. +5 armor +2 magic resistance. Durability. October 10th. Equipment requirement. Level 2. Exquisite animal leather pants, bronze. +5 armor +2 magic resistance. Durability. October 10th. Equipment requirement. Level 2. Although it is also very poor, at least the equipment is much stronger than that of beginners. Game characters can be changed with just one click, so upon receiving the equipment, Suan and Lin Xinyao put it on, and their exquisite clothes immediately caught the attention of a group of players. Within a few hours of opening the server, someone put on new equipment, and naturally everyone couldn't help but take a second look. Some people speculate that it is the task of the tailor shop, so there are more people in the tailor shop. Suan and Lin Xinyao walked out for a while when a druid player with a staff caught up and stopped Suan. Little brother and beautiful woman, please wait a moment. May I ask how your equipment comes from? Did you get it from monster spawning? Or did you get it from completing tasks? Regardless of which one it is, please tell me in detail and I will pay you a reward. How about buying a clue for 100 yuan? This druid player, whose ID is not playing tanks, is very tall, almost 2 meters long, with exaggerated muscles and looks like a giant. Others may think he has adjusted the character's body shape, but Suan knows that this guy's real body shape is similar to that in the game, very scary. I didn't expect to meet acquaintances from my past life so soon. This druid who doesn't play tanks is one of the top 10 druids in his past life. Although his name is Don't Play Tanks, he ultimately played Xiongda and played for the Heroes Guild. This group of male guilds was the first guild in the first district of Huaxia clothing before the start of the national war, and they did not play tanks and served as vice presidents inside. The guild infighting in the Chinese clothing of the first district is very fierce. After the national war started, there were internal and external troubles, and each guild fought on its own. They commanded a part of the players to fight, and it is unclear who was strong and who was weak until the end. In other words, everyone was weak. Suan also served as the president of a small guild in his past life. At that time, in order to compete for a piece of equipment, Suan had a PK with this non-tank player. Meat was real meat, but unfortunately it was too bulky. He kited for over half an hour before he died. He heard that after being beaten to death by him for not playing with tanks, his teeth were almost shattered with anger, and he didn't give Suan a good face on the battlefield afterwards. However, although there are personal grudges, when fighting against other suits, I always prefer to be in the front row of Suan every time. I don't play with tanks, and I am an honest person. Brother. Lin Xinyao pulled Suan in a daze and whispered, 100 yuan, why don't we sell it? This task isn't very important, is it? It's not really that important. Suan remembered those memories from the past and shook her head for her somewhat excessive behavior. At that time, he was equipped with heavy armor that he didn't play with tanks. He didn't need it at all, he just wanted to tease this person who didn't play with tanks. I didn't expect that not playing with tanks would be more serious. Then he spoke up and proposed the condition of 1v11. On point 1 combat, which seemed to be advantageous to him. He was already restless and wanted to tease him not to play with tanks. After he knew the difficulty and retreated, he would send the equipment back. Unexpectedly, he actually agreed not to play with tanks. It can be seen from this that Suan's personality was so bad before his rebirth. In 1v1, he didn't play with tanks until he died and didn't let the pastors in his team nurse him. He was a super honest person, and now he's selling a few irrelevant mission clues, so it's okay. Suan said to whether or not to play with tanks. Who is that? This task has prerequisites, it's equivalent to 2 tasks. Can I sell you 200 yuan? Not playing with tanks, seeing Suan agreeing to sell him mission clues, he was somewhat pleased, but Suan proposed new conditions, and he hesitated and said. Can you tell me the clue first? After reading it, I think it's worth 200 yuan. How about giving me the money? But don't worry, I'll definitely give you 100 yuan. Okay, pay a deposit of 100 first, and then I'll tell you the task process, said Suan. That's what I mean. Add friends, I'll send you your bank card number. The cash transactions in Fate can only be completed through banks and cannot be completed through payment software. Suan's straightforward approach made him very interested in not playing tanks. While adding Suan's friends, he asked. Little brother, are you interested in joining my guild to play? I'm not interested, Suan said as he sent the bank card number sent by Lin Xinyao. He hasn't applied for a bank card himself yet, Suan refused too quickly and couldn't react to not playing with tanks. He explained. My guild is very powerful, it's a group of heroes. You should have heard of it, haven't you? I've heard of it, but I'm not interested. I'll make money, Suan said. I find it difficult to communicate with Suan without playing with tanks. After Suan received the money, she explained what gift would earn Kafan's favor and how to trigger tasks with a lie after learning the skinning skill. Not playing tanks is not for oneself. He bought missions for the people in the guild. Unexpectedly, he could learn a life skill. He immediately gave Su Ming another 200 yuan and laughed. Little brother, there are still tasks like this in the future that you can send me to see. If they are valuable, I will pay for them. It's easy to say. Before Suan left, she patted her arm that didn't play with the tank and smiled. I advise you to throw away your wand as soon as possible, grab your shield, and play with tanks honestly. With your physique, who doesn't play with tanks? Goodbye. Goodbye. Standing in place without playing with tanks, I rubbed my head and thought to myself. How does this little brother feel like he has known me for a long time? It's quite appealing to me. I can make friends, and it would be even better if he could be more friendly when speaking. End of this chapter.